I need dogs. Understood?
Yes, sir.
This is the first chance we've had this kind of pressure in a long time. We wanted these rests. We wanted this challenge. Okay, it is hard. But we are here to do hard things. That is why we play these games. That's why we play at this level. We are dogs and we are winners, and we are good at doing hard things. So when we step out of this locker room, it is looking forward, and it is looking physical, and it is looking fast. Understood? Yeah. Let's get to it. Let's get to it.
Well, in 3 seasons in the UFA, the Summit have never lost a home game to the Spiders. And through 5 games in 2025, the Spiders have yet to lose. One of those unbeaten streaks will come to an end tonight as Oakland comes to town for its only battle against Colorado this season. It's the 5-0 Spiders visiting the 2-2 Cascades live on WatchUFA.tv and Mountain TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside Marv K Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday night. Ian Toner, alongside former Austin Soul coach Bjorn Shea. We're sending our well wishes to our buddy Chuck Kindred. We can't wait until he's healthy and back in the booth with us. Look, Colorado's got a lot to be excited about. They got back on the winning path last week. They got a lot of young talent from the Colorado Mama Bird program coming back into the roster now that the college season is behind them. But this Oakland program, they've just been the class of the division so far this season. What are you expecting here in this matchup tonight?
I'm expecting the Summit to move really well around this windless field. They seem to have struggled with the wind a little bit this year. And but also the Spiders are going to be moving around with one of the best offenses I've seen in a minute. Just moving all over the field from left to right really, really well.
Yeah, and a big part of Oakland's success has been the offensive versatility of Leo Gordon. Just a year removed from a college title with Brown, he's a front runner for Rookie of the Year and MVP already.
Yeah, he's taken all the skills you saw showcased in college and in club, and they almost seem more powerful out here. The giant field allows a man who can break so well, and with both hands, with every release point and every curvature of the disc, everything seems open to him all the time. It's going to be really difficult to stop.
Yeah, and without Jason Valley in the lineup tonight for the Spiders, he might have to do even more for that Spiders offense. And it's certainly going to be an emotional night for Keenan Lawrence. The former Spiders captain spent 4 seasons with the franchise. Tonight marks the first time he'll be facing off against his former teammates.
Yeah, it's another offensive talent who's incomparable, but in a completely different way than Leo Gordon. If Leo Gordon is a hummingbird, then Keenan Lawrence is a racehorse. He shoots a cannon. His throws are like cannons that go 80 yards every time whenever he wants them to, and he makes big, long cuts up and down the field vertically.
Keenan has talked publicly about the bonds he maintains with those former Spiders teammates and how much he wants to see them succeed. So some might call tonight a battle for Keenan Lawrence's soul. It's a beautiful night here in Golden. The showers have cleared up and the Summit are hungry to stick to their winning ways and gain an edge over the West Division leaders. The opening pull between the Summit and the Spiders is coming right up. Keys to the Game brought to you by Home Force Ultimate Lending Team, your home mortgage lending partner based on Frisbee heritage. As more than a lender, we are a teammate. You get a look at the officials overseeing the coin toss. That's Hank Carey, Carlo DePena, Jonathan Monforti, and Jeannie Eckert. Let's get back to those keys to the game. Bjorn, what do you got?
For the Spiders, they have shown they have some of the best dump defense in the league. Can their dump defense, their handler defense, disrupt the handlers, some of whom are fresh off of coming back from college. Speaking of that defense, can that defense, after they get a turn, successfully score, complete the break without having to take a sub, as it seems like they've been forced to do multiple times to get the offense back on the field? And finally, can their offensive creativity, namely Leo Gordon, outmatch the size and speed of the Summit defense?
Yeah, the Summit have a ton of athletes, and talking to Caleb Merriam coming into this game, he acknowledged, hey, this might be the first time we don't just have the outright athleticism advantage that we may have had against some other opponents earlier this year. What are we looking at for the Summit here?
And for Summit, going back to Leo Gordon, can they contain him? And containing a player of his quality means a lot of different things. What it means mostly is just making him take shots he might not want to take, forcing him to maybe huck a little more instead of break as often as he likes to. Finally, second, to integrate the Mama Bird talent. And that goes two ways. Not only how the team integrates the guys coming back from college, but how well they integrate themselves both to these new teammates and to the different style of gameplay out here in the UFA. And finally, the connection between the handlers and the downfield cutters. Coach TK was telling us yesterday that there seems to be a little bit of a lack of communication between the cutters and the handlers, both being on the same page, getting the timing matched up. While they're integrating well within themselves, the handlers with the handlers, the cutters with the cutters, that last bit connecting the two has been lacking.
Yeah, the Summit offense has been looking to find consistency. Their O-line conversion rate of 47.96%. Just 16th in the league. And that's not to turn the fans from coming out tonight. It's great to see some more butts in seats after some rain showers and thunderstorms earlier in the afternoon and early evening. But as you can see, the conditions breaking and giving way to a beautiful night here in Golden. It looks like Oakland is going to start on defense, pulling in the white jerseys from right to left across your screen. That's Seamus Robinson preparing to pull for the Spiders.
Yeah, absolutely perfect conditions. The offense will have the sun at their backs.
Connor Olson fielding the pull for Colorado. And we talked about the young talent integrating into this Summit offense. Keenan Lawrence gets the disc off the line, and there's Tobias Brooks' first touch in a Colorado Summit uniform. He played 2 seasons with the Carolina Flyers, was a big part of their run to championship weekend, the title game last year, and fresh off a trip to the national championship game with Colorado Mama Bird, he is ready to lock in for the pro season. Here's Kuhlman up to Thoresen, another one of those Mama Bird stars, active in the pro lineup tonight after a season at the college level. Thoresen on the edge of the red zone over to Brooks. Brooks floats it. Lawrence just 2 yards outside the end zone now. Throws a blade to nobody. Looked like Zeke Thoresen was calling for it, but the throw from Lawrence just off the mark.
Yeah, that was one of those throws. Sometimes you see it gets stuck between a hammer and a blade. Has maybe the 11 o'clock line, if you know what I'm saying. So it neither flattens out nor gets to where it needs to be going.
Oakland on the counterattack. Disc in the hands there of Henry Garcia up to Seamus Robinson. Garcia playing in just his second professional game, and there's a turf. A gift to give this disc back to the Colorado Summit offense, and Brooks and Thoresen are off to the races. And Brooks drops it. No pressure there in the handler set, and he can't hang on to that one.
Yeah, that was tough. Maybe just moving a little too quickly. Maybe with all this field, let him make a larger cut.
McCall shooting deep, same third. 2 defenders in the area. And it's caught by the trailing receiver. That's Aaron Rosenthal with the opening break goal of the game for Oakland.
As you see often with a high throw, the person who comes in last gets the best shot at it, gets to read it the most, gets a nice running jump at it.
So Colorado with 2 unforced turns on that point. They had multiple defenders bodying to try and get this disc back, and ultimately it was the 2 Oakland receivers, Tolfa and Rosenthal, battling to bring that one down.
A little friendly fire from Rosenthal, but it looks like his fellow Spider is okay.
So that assist coming from the hands of Stephen McCall, who just is graduating high school this year and is playing in his second professional game. And, you know, we mentioned in the Open that Jason Valley wasn't going to be available tonight, but there's also a number of D-line presence players that aren't active tonight for Oakland. You know, they're missing the likes of Eli Kearns and Robin Vickers-Batzdorf and Sawyer Thompson, and they need some of these younger guys to step up in that D handling role, and McCall and Garcia appear to be answering the call here early on, and here the Summit attacking and trying to respond. Disc in the hands of Coleman up to Brooks. Brooks faking, marked tightly by Robinson. There's Feiner with a short gainer. 9 yards outside the end zone, up to Coleman. Looking for Feiner, and it's off the mark.
Yeah, almost exactly like the last turnover they had on offense, just moving a little too quickly. Probably could have looked to his right and gone back to Brooks across the flat of the end zone.
We'll see if the stat keepers credit Carter Langford with a block there. I think he got a fingertip on it and certainly provided a lot of pressure on Feiner in that small space at the front corner of the end zone. Here's a punt from Oakland. The thrower there, Liam J., just didn't want to turn the disc over close to his own end zone, and credit to the Summit defense from its O-line forcing that turn.
Yeah, the great defense. Nobody was really making any deep cuts, and with this still weather, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be giving the thrower more options. He showed it that he could get it there quite easily. There's really no resistance from the wind right now. There should be a lot more deep cuts from both teams.
Thorson finds Coleman. Brooks with another touch. You can tell he's going to fill that center handling role. Now that he's here, he's looking deep for Lawrence. Defended by Berriman, and Berriman with the better body position on the backside. That's 3 turns on the opening 2 points.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I thought Lawrence was going to body him out well, use those broad shoulders, but it looks like he got too far under it, and it faded at the last moment, and there was just no chance.
Oh, and Toby Brooks goes flying to get that disc back, and he's down on the field. Unclear if there was any kind of call before this, but obviously the biggest concern is the health and safety of the young phenom Brooks.
What you see a lot in this case when someone gets a D like this is the knee of the offensive player kind of bonks him on the back of the head as it comes through. And I think that's exactly what happened. So you put yourself in a little bit of a precarious position when you make a great D like that.
Great recognition on your part there, Bjorn, but Brooks is going to stay in the game after earning the disc back for his team. And we were about to resume play. However, Hank Carey having a conversation with Brooks.
He might have started before the whistle. You see that happen a lot. You need the whistle needs to blow before he can even start really pivoting.
So the disc is going to stay in the hands of Elliott after that conversation. Elliott floats it up to Brooks. Brooks pumps, looking for a reset. Elliott has to work for that one. Back to Brooks. You can hear the sidelines yelling all the way, all the way. They want him to change the angle of attack, and he gets it to Thorson. The next one is to Elliott. He's on the doorstep. Back to Thorson. Another swing to Brooks. Here's Coleman now, 4 yards outside the end zone. Brooks going up line. And back across the grain, connecting with Zeke Thorson. 4 turns later, Colorado is on the board.
Well, at least the offense should be warmed up by now for the Summit. But you saw there they were finally swinging the disc instead of just forcing it up the line, as they really like to give and go on this team, and why not? You have quick players. But it makes it a lot easier if you swing the disc.
Yeah, there's a look at the first turnover for the Summit O-line on that point. You can see there was separation for Feiner, but the throw not there. And then Berriman bodying Keenan Lawrence on Brooks' deep shot, and then Brooks gets the disc back, and Kuhlman in the red zone connecting with Thorson.
Yeah, Kuhlman's a cool hand, if you will. Made sure that no one was going to go too quick there after finally getting the disc back to the front of the end zone. You did notice the offense certainly has plenty of faith in the young fellas.
Yeah, a lot of touches and responsibility for Brooks and Thorson. So here's our first look at the Spiders O-line. There's Leo Gordon slashing across to start, looking deep right away. He's got Adam Reese with steps. He beats Marshall to the disc. Reese on the doorstep, and that's an easy flip into the end zone. Easy score there for Saul Wildowski. A couple rookies connected on that one. Gordon to Reese and Reese to Wildowski.
Reese is just one of the best players in Ultimate in the world, in my opinion. I had to coach against him when he on Revolver when I was with Double Wide, and he does every single thing, no matter where. It's like a cockroach. If you step somewhere, he just squirts somewhere else. And you also saw the air here, how a throw that high almost anywhere else with any bit of wind would have hung. It just kept going in this Colorado air. Gave the defender, who wasn't in terrible position, only like 3 steps behind, but no chance to catch up.
Say more about what separates Reese and makes you think he's one of the best players in the world.
Well, so he can just go if you put a great handler defender on him, he'll run downfield and burn your handler defender.
Okay.
If you put a great receiver defender, he'll just happily go back in the backfield and make that receiver defender tired. You know, it's really hard to be good at defending everything.
Yeah.
You're usually one type or the other. But he has all the tools.
Here's Keenan Lawrence, already involved, we might say, in 2 turns for the Summit O so far. He's definitely hungry to have a positive impact here. Elliott finds Kuhlman.
Disc a little too sticky for the Summit if they want to be successful here. It's staying in that, the stall is only 7 seconds, and we're seeing a lot of 5s out here if my internal clock is correct.
There's some horizontal movement. Disc with Brooks up to Olsen. Olsen steps into a deep shot looking for Feiner. That's perfect.
That was pretty great. There was a standstill cut, as in Feiner was just standing still, making eyes with Connor Olsen. If you know anything about Connor Olsen, he loves to throw his flick. I think the Spiders will not hesitate to force Feiner in the next time Olsen has got that flick loaded up.
So if you're just joining us, we've got the 5-0 Oakland Spiders, the West Division leaders, coming to town for their only matchup against the Colorado Summit this season, and the Summit at 2-2, looking to stick to their winning ways after beating Oregon for the 2nd time this season last Saturday. And I know this is only the 5th game of the season for the Colorado Summit, but you got to be thinking about the importance of this game. If somehow the standings tighten up, Colorado strings together a really strong performance, maybe Oakland drops 1 or 2, where a tiebreaker scenario could come into play. And Colorado absolutely, in addition to just flat out wanting to get the win for multiple reasons, they want to have that tiebreaker against Oakland if they need it later in the season.
Absolutely, and the seasons are a lot shorter these days.
Deep shot there for Crawford, connecting, and Oakland still up a break after breaking on the opening point of the game.
So I'll come back to what I was saying earlier, but that's Matt Crawford. I think he might have almost the games played record and a lot of records for the games played and points played for the Spiders. He goes all the way back to 2014 when the Spiders were a dynasty. So he's been playing over 10 years with the Spiders, winning championships on the backs of the likes of Cassidy, Rasmussen, and Bo Kittredge. And he's still hanging with the team and still able to contribute. Definitely moved from the defensive line to the offensive line and just catching scores now.
Crawford, the 38-year-old Sonoma State product, his 9th season with the Spiders. The only guy still on the roster, at least dressed tonight with past championship experience. Here's Feiner. Up to Brooks. Looking up the line, big gainer there to Kuhlman. Kuhlman shoots deep. Oh, he's looking for Thoresen, and too much gas on that one.
Yeah, that looked great coming out, but not enough outside in on it. It just stayed flat and ran away from Thoresen.
D-line gets moving for Oakland. And before they can continue advancing the disc off the field, Caleb Merriam uses a timeout. And a reminder that today's broadcast is brought to you by Celsius Energy. Join the Live Fit lifestyle. We aim to inspire those who want to live fit by giving them a sustained energy source that's specially formulated in the body to help you reach your goals.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying for one of my keys of the game for the Spiders. It's not that they don't trust their defensive line, but as you stated, they're very young. They have a lot of fresh faces out there. And because they got the early break advantage, they're not just going to take any chances. They're going to get that established O-line back out there and not really give the young guys on the D-line a chance to mess it up. Because come later in the game, might not have those opportunities.
Yeah, and a couple O-line presences staying out there on this point. Feiner and Thoresen and Brooks and Kuhlman not taking any opportunity to sub here. But here's Maxig. Huge gainer for Frankenberg. He didn't even have to run through that one. Maxig goes up line. Crawford in space. Big swing over to Maxig. Another swing to Gordon, pursued by, oh my goodness, Kuhlman got a fingertip on it. But Gordon was able to catch the Mac, and he looks to switch the field, and that disc is sailing out of bounds.
Let's go ahead and give Kuhlman the mental D on that. He flustered Gordon enough that Gordon sent it to the stands.
Unbelievable effort from Kuhlman pursuing that swing, and I saw an official provide an injury signal, and so looks like Carter Langford is going to take the place of Matt Crawford, and Jay Frood is coming on for Noah Kuhlman, who was just seconds ago throwing his body through the air, attempting to block the disc.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone like Kuhlman on your offensive line to get the turns back for you, who's willing to lay it all out there.
Kuhlman second on the team in blocks behind Alex Atkins, who is not available tonight for the Summit. He's the team leader in assists, overall scores, blocks, and turnovers.
Yeah, Alex is in Europe representing Colorado in the U.S., trying to help some European teams at a big elite tournament out there. So best of luck to him.
Here's Jay Frood working against the double team. Scoobers past it, finds Brooks. Oh, and the receiver Hodling didn't run through, and that's a block there for Adam Reese. Remember, this is still a D point for the Oakland Spiders.
Wow. Yeah, Hodling's had a little bit of injury, and maybe his wasn't up to game speed there with running through the disc. He'll probably get over that soon, though.
Maxig out to space for Gordon to run onto. There's Wildowski. Back to Gordon. Maxig 5 yards out. Offhand, backhand. He's got Walker Frankenberg. And after a couple more turns, the Spiders convert the break.
Frankenberg is a great player. Played his college ball at Middlebury, and they were almost a dynasty, broken up a little bit by Oklahoma Christian. Shout out to my Soul Boys.
At the D3 level, right?
At the D3 level, correct. And but just an absolutely phenomenal player. Was next to Kyle Henke, was the best player in D3 those years at Nationals.
Austin Souls, Kyle Henke.
Correct.
And second consecutive score that Frankenberg has been involved in tonight for the Spiders, and he's coming into tonight 4th in the league in goals with 19. He's now up to 20, and he was tied for 6th in the league in assists, now up to 20 as well. So Colorado looking to recover. Brooks still out there, and Keenan Lawrence with a drop. No pressure on that under, and unable to bring that one in. A short field here for the Spiders D-line. Williams resets, finds Garcia. Up to Williams, continuing to McCall. Trouble here in Colorado as the Spiders rookies anchor the D-line counterattack. And Oakland has a 3-goal advantage before the first quarter is over.
Williams is a player I'm really impressed with. I was watching some film on him, and he might not look it but he must be 6'5", and he moves very, very quickly. He moves really, really well for a man of his size. And you saw right there, giving and going as if he, just like Leo Gordon might, into the end zone. Very impressive player.
So Williams, McCall, and Garcia all involved in that score for Oakland. And McCall and Garcia, we made mention of at least one of them. These guys are graduating high school this year in 2025, and they are players that Spiders coach Caleb Merriam coached on a Bay Area team called Gold Rush with Eli Kearns and Manisha Slap Daryani, and they have history of going to low-level college tournaments and just beating up on lower-level college teams with a bunch of high school kids. So incredible reps for them to get before this stage, and you can see the fruit that it's bearing with them able to step in on the pro stage and be key contributors right away.
That must feel wonderful for the high school kids and terrible for the college kids.
No doubt about it. Here's David Yu 10 yards outside the end zone. Matty Jackson out there. The Summit Ironman playing an 0-point. Hodling bluffs the inside. Back to Jackson. Look into the end zone. He's got a receiver at the back line, and Zach Slayton is in bounds, and the D-line heavy group stops the bleeding for Colorado.
Yeah, that's Slayton is a fellow Longhorn, and up until this point he's been on the O-line for the Summit, but with the addition of the Bomber players coming back, he scooted down to the D-line, so he kind of understands where to find space in this Summit offense. And as kind of the unknown quantity and kind of a smaller guy, he often finds himself unguarded in corners like that.
Great spacing there by Slayton, and a nice execution from Jackson to finish that point off. And after conceding 2 consecutive breaks, Colorado gets a hold, and now we've got one of those pivotal end-of-quarter situations. Just 14 seconds left on the clock, and Colorado certainly does not want to surrender an easy or even fluky score to the Spiders. 10 seconds now. Here's Maxig in power position. Gets it up to Frankenberg, and he's fouled there by Frood. I was going to say, I was surprised we didn't see a whistle right away, so the clock stops at 4 seconds. Frankenberg gets to gain 10 yards, and there's a downfield numbers advantage for the Spiders. Frankenberg with 3 seconds. Hammer to the end zone, couple receivers there, and it's blocked! Keenan Lawrence finding a little bit of redemption after his first quarter turnovers. Shaking hands there with his former teammate, Matt Crawford.
Yeah, I thought that was a little risky. You pointed it out, having only 2 guys back as opposed to 3, and there was even for moments 4 Spiders back. But you know, when all you have to do is knock it down, sometimes it's the advantage not to get in your way. So often you see in these situations 2 defenders kind of bump into each other, neither of them gets a good jump. Here, at least Lawrence could just focus on, I'm going to read this well, do my best, high point it.
5-3 Oakland after 1 here in Golden.
I need dogs. Understood? Yes, sir. This is the first chance we've had this kind of pressure in a long time. We wanted these rests. We wanted this challenge. Okay, it is hard. But we are here to do hard things. That is why we play these games. That's why we play at this level. We are dogs and we are winners, and we are good at doing hard things. So when we step out of this locker room, it is looking forward, and it is looking physical, and it is looking fast. Understood? Let's do it. Let's get to it.
What a night here in Golden, and what a night and weekend around the UFA. Plenty of unbelievable matchups unfolding. We've got our game of the week tomorrow night. Atlanta taking on Chicago, the second night of their doubleheader. And New York and DC, that's coming up next Friday in our next edition of Friday Night Frisbee. And also next Saturday, our game of the week, the classic South Division rivalry, Atlanta versus Carolina. Thanks so much for joining us on WatchUFA.tv. If you don't have access to a second screen, a second monitor, a second device, find a way to do it, because we got some other great games unfolding right now. One of them, Atlanta's first leg of its doubleheader road trip. They're battling Minnesota, and that's not only on WatchUFA.tv, but also free and live for everyone on YouTube. 12-10, Atlanta with a lead right now on the defending champions. But here in Golden, Oakland's looking deep, and Adam Reese has another goal for the Spiders. Oakland doubling up Colorado here in the early second quarter.
And that point showed the dynamism of Leo Gordon. You didn't see him until the last throw. He was down in the stack doing work. He doesn't just feel comfortable behind the disc. He was all the way down the field, making big cuts, got a nice 20-yard gain before turning and throwing what might have been not the best huck in the world, but there's no wind out here, so it just settled, and Reese was able to read it.
I was going to ask you, have you ever seen, I don't know if that was a conscious choice from Gordon or not, we've seen those outside-in throws to the inside-out lane, like for a front-of-the-stack reset or a short 10, 15, 20-yard gainer. That almost looked like an outside-in huck to the inside-out lane with a deliberate deep shot intention. And I don't know if you've seen anything like that before on this field.
Well, it also, because it's so still and he threw it high enough, it almost settled back, almost like a helix, because he put that outside. And Reese saw it coming, and I think Leo just saw that space and was comfortable with anything he could get off.
Brooks, Olsen, and Elliott playing catch. Feiner gets the first under for the Summit offense. Unleashes a deep shot for Zeke Thoresen, and Zeke is able to clap catch that one in the end zone. The Colorado Summit offense finding their stride here in the second quarter.
And Zeke is as fast as advertised. Saw it on the college field, and now you're seeing it out here. He can move.
What do you think about how that point developed for the Summit offense? Because it looked like they were a little stagnant or stuck in the opening sequence.
Yeah, they were. We talked about that as a key to the game, the connection between the handlers and the cutters. It was still a little sluggish, and really that cut that Feiner made was a bailout cut, coming very horizontal, which, even as we saw there, is a little dangerous. It gives the defender a window to make a bid, which he did, but then Feiner had to.
He sustained some contact there.
He did, and so that was a gamble by the defender, and then Feiner got to have a nice, clear, markless huck.
So Oakland up 3 breaks here in the second quarter, and Colorado looking to apply some defensive pressure. Here's Magsig swinging to Crawford. Magsig. Lane Poach takes away the first look to Gordon, but he gets it as he sevens his cut. What a treat it is to watch those two handlers play catch right there. Here's Crawford. Up to Frankenberg. He's been potent tonight. He's shooting down the line, looking for Reese. Right on the money.
That was such a fantastic break. Oftentimes when you throw a break throw, you have to put funky curve on it because you're contorting your body. He not only broke the mark really well, he kept it perfectly flat with touch. Very difficult to do.
That's the second goal of the quarter and the game for Adam Reese, the rookie from Oregon. Coming into tonight, he was third in the league in goals scored with 21, and he is now up to 23. And I can imagine that won't be the last time we see him in the end zone tonight, unless Colorado's defense really steps up its game. Brooks going back to field this pull and lets it fall just out of bounds. What do you think about this handling set of Brooks and Elliott and Connor Olson?
Well, Brooks is the true handler of the group. I think you'll see the other two moving around a lot, but I think they have Connor Olson known for his big flick, so I think it's about Witt that can throw where. And Tim is a bit more of a both sides thrower.
Lawrence all the way to the end zone to Brooks. That's more like it for the former Spider. And both Lawrence and Brooks get on the score sheet for the first time tonight.
Yeah, that's great to see Tobias eject, as you call it when you leave the handler space, because he's probably the fastest player on this team. So sometimes you feel like his speed is a little wasted when he's in the backfield the whole time. They're showing that when he ejects, you're not going to keep up with him.
That's an interesting point you made, and I was curious, and I was hoping to get there in asking you about the handler set. The comment you made about his speed being potentially wasted back there. If you're an offensive coordinator, do you want him in that center handler position, or do you want him more downfield operating next to Kuhlman and Feiner and using speed and space?
My taste as a coach would be a little bit more downfield.
Okay.
You saw 2 offensive points ago for the Spiders, how Leo Gordon stayed deep most of the time and then came back for a wide open under and was able to throw from there. I'd just like to see a little bit more of that for Tobias. Play down the field, coming back to the disc.
Phenomenal pull, pinned Oakland against its back line, but a couple throws later, Walker Frankenberg is near midfield, and he's shooting deep, looking for Leo Gordon, taken off from the handler set, and Gordon rips it down past Nandaman Fink, who's pleading to Hank Carey for a foul or strip call, but none's coming.
And there's the dynamism of Leo Gordon again. The smallest guy on the field, the best thrower on the field, going deep and skying a young man.
Wow. Are you able to definitively say from that replay that Min Fink had it first?
No, and with Ty going to the offense, I think you pretty much just got to give it to Leo there. You always want to err towards the Ty going to the offense. Great jump by both players, but got to give that to Leo.
What a play by Gordon as Aiden Curry pulls for the Spiders defense, and that one rolls out the back. Olsen hustling, and instead of centering, he goes up the line and connects with Lawrence. Thorson, the big gainer, next. He's sending Kuhlman to the end zone. Can he get there? Inbounds. Kuhlman locking down there with his arms wide open. Colorado's offense stays clean here in the second quarter.
Well, I pleaded about 8 minutes ago. I was hoping for some more deep cuts and some more deep throws because I was like, fellas, there's no wind out here. And I think it's all setting in now, and everybody's seeing how wide open that end zone looks.
So as a defensive coordinator, if you're starting to see this become a track meet, if you're seeing a bunch of, couple throw possessions and lots of deep shots, how do you adjust and take that away from the opponent?
Well, defense, especially in the UFA, was never my specialty.
Okay.
It always befuddled me because this field is so dang big. But I would say you throw as much junk and as much switching as possible. It has to be done with switches because no one person can guard a field this big. It has to be done with switches.
Let's see if any Summit defenders are able to take some of that to heart as the disc gets centered to Magsig. There's Gordon in space, marked by Feiner, crossing over on this point. Reese chased by May. Wildowski's next. Burns to Reese. Gordon on the attacking half of midfield. Here's Frankenberg on the edge of the red zone. Bluffs the inside, then gets it up to Gordon. I beg your pardon, Burns on the doorstep. Burns back to Frankenberg. No one can keep up with him tonight. Oakland up by 3 again.
Looks like a call.
So it looked like there was a call that preceded that assist throw.
He threw it from in the end zone, so it's kind of like a travel, so it has to go back.
Forgive me, I had my eyes down on my notes, but Reese going with the hammer, connecting with Gordon. This offense is just so difficult to slow down.
I think their ability to break has just got the Summit marks taking 2 steps back, which makes it all the more easy to break. So now the receivers, no matter which way they go, are on the strong side.
Now talking to Sandy Brown, the player coach and defensive coordinator of sorts with Matty Jackson. He said that the team was really going to focus on taking away some high insides and those easy, high, skinny breaks. But there have been so many other ways that this Oakland team has been able to just break the mark tonight.
Yeah, and like when there's no wind like this, and the throwers are this talented, it's really easy to even bend it to get to wherever you want, even with a good mark.
Olsen up to Elliott. Here's Brooks. Elliott in power position. Thought about the deep shot, opted for Lawrence underneath. Lawrence lets a late flick huck go. He's looking for Thoresen. Robinson defending, and Robinson comes through for the block. That's the 4th turnover that Lawrence has been involved in tonight.
Yeah, it's funny to see the one player, Tim, look off the throw, and then Lawrence to throw the same throw.
Swing goes over to Williams. There's McCall. Langford. Up to Robinson, the block getter at midfield. He unleashes the hammer. Williams is on the doorstep. Flips it, and it's blocked! A careless throwaway on the goal line there from Williams, and Elliott saves the day for the Colorado O-line. Here's Brooks. Olsen. Over to Elliott. Thoresen gets separation under. Centered back to Elliott. Offhand release to Kuhlman, and he's on the move. Thoresen. Olsen back to Thoresen in the red zone now. Olsen inside, plenty of space there for Elliott, who just happens to catch that one in the end zone, and Colorado recovers after the early Hawk turnover.
Yeah, Tim Elliott had a great look to Thoresen early that he looked off, and his decision-making was not contagious because Lawrence really wanted that throw, but it was those 5 seconds later that cut is left viable, so that should not have been thrown. And then on the goal line there for Williams, that happens a lot when the player is so committed to throwing a dump or a handoff like that, he turns his back on the field. So he had no idea Elliott was coming right behind him, even though Elliott was there the whole time. He did nothing sneaky.
Yeah, Coach Tim Kafalis had a lot of great things to say about Tim Elliott now in his 2nd year on the team, and the way he was able to provide great movement and motion to the handler set, especially last week against Oregon.
Yeah, very dynamic offensive player.
That pull lands inches out the back, and Oakland able to start 20 yards up. Magsig steps into a deep shot right away. He's looking for Reese. Reese has steps on Marshall, and that's another clap catch deep goal for Adam Reese.
Another throw, just even though Marshall's the type of defender, he uses his length, he stays about 2 steps behind, catches up, lays out big. But these throws are not settling and giving him an opportunity to make those bigs. And Reese also did a perfect job of taking steps to his right until the last moment when he cut back to the left, giving Marshall no avenue for a bid.
Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by On Tap Credit Union, a member-owned and Colorado-proud financial institution. As your local financial partner, we are here to help guide you toward financial freedom by crafting solutions that fit your needs for today and your dreams for tomorrow. Cheers from On Tap Credit Union. Colorado's O-line back out there as Olsen fields the pull and centers to Elliott. And the swing to Brooks just 3 yards past the back line. That stack is awfully deep, Bjorn.
Yeah, that's tough, but they're being patient. They're not rushing to get out of there, which I think is important. They're keeping their spacing and being confident in themselves, because it all starts with confidence.
Finer looking deep for Brooks. Brooks has steps. Brooks is in the end zone. That's the breakaway speed that everyone's been talking about, anticipating him coming into this Summit lineup.
You know I'm a fan of that ejection move, and my goodness, I can't believe he didn't have to lay out for that. I thought for sure when he was 10 yards behind it, he wasn't going to catch that standing up, but he sure did.
Great performance tonight so far from Finer as well. You know, if you happen to listen to any of his comments on his Pod Practice podcast, he was pretty candid about, you know, the Texas road trip that saw Colorado lose 2 games. He wasn't really happy with his own performance. He acknowledged he had to be better. He was frustrated adapting to the new disc that's being used in the UFA this year, and, you know, great to see him connecting at a higher clip so far tonight, both underneath and in the deep space, because that's been one of his separators at the elite level in this league, as being a real consistent hucker and disc mover.
Yes, sometimes your calmness can work against you in times when you're in trouble. He needs to be maybe more fired up than he has been.
And there's a short field turnover from Reese, and Colorado drops the break goal in and out of the hands of Zach Slayton, and new life on this point for the Spiders O-line. Magsig to Crawford. Crawford thought about the deep shot, instead resets to Magsig. Jackson on the mark. Kuhlman goes flying but can't get the disc before Gordon gets it, and Gordon putting it out to space. Burns trying to get there, and it just tails away from him.
That's that classic Colorado edge that when you don't live here, you often do, because you want to put a lot of inside on it when you live at sea level like these guys do to make it go further, and then it just never snaps back.
Goldstein unable to connect with Slayton there, and you mentioned that huck just not flattening out here at elevation the way throwers might expect a disc to do at sea level. So that's the first huck and completion of the night for the Spiders, and Sam Goldstein picks up for Colorado. And before that swing got off, Jim Kafalis using his first time out of the first half with 3 minutes and 23 seconds left to go here before halftime.
In the middle? Doesn't matter. Hey, if we're on the sideline, we are. Our first look is off. Toby's disc, CT's first reset, Molson's far side. Let's just be stacked far hash. Me and Zeke lane first, Zeke's first, I'll be second, cool? Our first look is off to the middle. Let's delay for a second, Zeke. Cool. All day, baby, all day.
I'm out of far slash from me. Maybe pull CT's gonna make it a little easier.
Cool.
We'll set up
Keep
kind of
going
close.
before the whistle.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the whistle. He's gonna go. We'll delay. I'm gonna run real close to the back of your
Get a look at Quinn Finer calling the plays there.
Yeah, we saw him. We were just talking about how he's trying to, wrap his mind around everything, be very deliberate and focused. And that, if there's anything you would call that, that was focused.
So you can tell Tobias Brooks is going to look to get the disc off the line right away, and then Zeke Thorson is going to be isolated in the lane with Finer.
Yeah, these nice wide fields, it gives those two a ton of room to operate.
Swing gets off to Elliott. Thorson coming underneath. Nice swing out to Olsen. Pops it out to Elliott. Nobody's going deep. Reset to Olsen. Back up to Elliott.
Thanks, man.
Elliott looking to get the disc off the line. Takes it over to Finer. Big swing there. Brooks. Thorson. Wide open swing to Elliott. Finer at midfield. Nobody's going deep for him. Space throw for Thorson. Kuhlman. Floater, and Brooks makes the two-handed grab over the defender McCall. And a foul called by Carey. So Brooks takes a second to tie his cleat, and then he'll walk the disc up 10 yards.
That was a young mistake. Once you don't get the D, just let go, or else it would have been no foul if he had just let go.
Big gainer there for Elliott. One bluff, another. Robinson doing a great job to recover and take away those options at the front corner. Elliott swinging to Thorson, inside to Finer. Colorado solves the puzzle and gets its first break of the game.
Huge, absolutely huge. That was a great use of the timeout with the offensive sub after the defense had failed the first break. So, great offense, moved the field, could use a little more swinging. You saw things really open up once they started moving side to side. They should have done a little more like Quinn said in the huddle. Let's get off that sideline. Took them a while, but when they did, they were looking good.
More of that great handler movement that Tim Kefalis was praising from Elliott on that point. Even though he might have had a high stall situation at one point on the field, he got the disc back and then kept attacking with his legs after he reset.
He does a good job of looking everywhere too, so the marks can't really sink into him. Keeps the mark backing up, a little worried about where he's going to throw.
Minute 57 left to go here in the first half. See what kind of pressure the Summit defense can continue to apply here. Frankenberg, Gordon, and Magsig having their way with the handler defenders so far on this point. Here's Gordon, up to Frankenberg. Red zone now for Burns, continuing to Wildovsky. A nearly uncontested point there for the Spiders O-line.
They looked like they were running downhill the whole time. That seemed like it was a fast break from the catch of the pull all the way down. Going whichever way they wanted, always moving forward. That was great offense by those guys.
And it's funny because you contrast that with the 2-throw Huck goals, the 5-throw Huck goals. It's just a different style of attack, and they're showing that they got other ways to do it.
Yep. When your best offensive players can both cut and handle, you can switch everything up at the drop of a hat, depending on what the defense is showing you.
So a minute 30 left to go here in the first half. Oakland got 3 breaks in the first quarter. Colorado's got 1 break back here in the second. And you know the Summit want to inch closer here before halftime and make sure Oakland can't extend its lead at all. Olsen jogging up after the pull landed out of bounds. Scoobering over to Elliott. Gainer to Olsen. Finer takes off. Kuhlman comes underneath. Thorson's next. Back to Brooks. 45 seconds left to go in the half. Elliott to Olsen. Back to Elliott. Here's Brooks with a gainer. 30 seconds left to go in the half. Thorson. Back to Brooks. Elliott over to Feiner. 20 seconds now. Olsen. Thought about Brooks, opts for Lawrence instead. 10 seconds now. Olsen. 5 seconds. Disc with Feiner. Hammer looking over the top. He's got Elliott. As the clock expires, Colorado gets back within one at the end of the first half.
You can't do it any better than that. At first, when they were trying to play keep away, I thought, man, a minute's a long time to just hold the disc, especially when opportunities haven't been the easiest thing for them. But there you go. That's a lot of self-confidence to know that they're going to get it there, to know that they're going to maintain possession and put it in without giving the Spiders another chance. Great job.
You know, I wonder if they were playing keep away at the start of that point, or if that's just what the circumstances were dictating. Tim Elliott's been a great presence here as the Summit are trying to claw back into things. The 5-0 Oakland Spiders with an 11-10 lead here at the half. More stats, analysis, and breakdowns from Golden on the other side of the break. Tonight's halftime recap is brought to you by Cancer Playbook. Cancer Playbook is a resource that aims to empower cancer patients and their caregivers by combining patient-reported outcomes with evidence-based medicine, offering practical tools, educational content, and inspiration. Oakland with an 11-10 lead here in Golden. A beautiful sunset, and hasn't been the first half that Keenan Lawrence necessarily wanted, but his former team's offense has looked incredibly potent through 2 quarters of play.
Yeah, and you had talked about how the O-line conversion percentage for the Summit was right about 47% for the season, and they've come out and put up 50%. So that's, they're sitting right where their average was, and that put them in an early hole. A good offensive team needs to be much higher than that.
Yeah, you compare that O-line conversion rate with Oakland's. Of course, O-line conversion is different from hold percentage. Colorado is still holding 75% of the time, and Oakland is holding 73% of the time when you factor in end-of-quarter situations where Oakland was not able to convert. And we'll show you one that actually happened at the end of the first half. The officials actually added a second back onto the clock right after the Feiner to Elliott score to make it 11-10. So there was one final throw with 1 second left. Here's Evan Magsig's look to the end zone, and somehow he's able to get that backhand off. I don't know how. And you could see multiple Colorado defenders mack it, and we almost had an instance of Burns playing the role of Joel Clutton and macking the disc into the end zone for Elijah Jaime, or in that case, Seamus Robinson. Here is a look at some of those stats we were talking about, and the Oakland O-line just a little more efficient overall and with hucks relative to Colorado.
Going back to that last play, I saw it looked like Noah Kuhlman wasn't ready, was looking the complete opposite direction. It was his job to stop the backhand tuck.
Yeah.
He was turned all the way around, the disc was tapped in, and he was caught completely off guard, and a big backhand, pretty much the number one thing you can't allow, happened.
So just a minute away from the second half here in Golden. Can Colorado's unbeaten streak against the Spiders on home turf stay intact? Or Will the Oakland Spiders improve to 6-0? Stay with us here on WatchUFA.tv and Mountain TV.
I need dogs. Understood. Yes, sir. This is the first chance we've had of this kind of pressure in a long time. We wanted these rests. We wanted this challenge. Okay, it is hard. But we are here to do hard things. That is why we play these games. That's why we play at this level. We are dogs and we are winners, and we are good at doing hard things. So when we step out of this locker room, it is looking forward, and it is looking physical, and it is looking fast. Understood? Let's do it. Let's get to it.
Golden skies here in Golden, Colorado. The thunderstorms have rolled through, and we've got nothing but beautiful sunsets and hues on the clouds as a summer evening comes into focus in the Rocky Mountains. Ian Toner here with Bjorn Shea, getting set for the second half between Oakland and Colorado. Oakland will pull to start the second half, and Bjorn, it's been a dream night for throwers and receivers and a challenging night for defenders with no wind or other adverse conditions to help them out.
Yeah, I think we're about to see a great first half. I think Colorado can play a lot better, and I don't know how much better Oakland could play. So at least Colorado has that going for them.
Brooks finds Feiner. Feiner going same third for Hawkins. And there's the first goal in a Summit uniform for Elliot Hawkins. Another one of those Mama Bird stars making his 2025 debut.
Yeah, happy to see the young man out there. And it's funny that the guys who I would have considered defenders, both Hawkins and Thoresen, played defense for Mama Bird, coming out here, and they're offensive stars on the big field with all the older guys. I guess nothing beats young legs.
So that brings Feiner's assist tally up to 4 on the night, and we'll be interested to see if we see some more Hawkins on offense, as Kuhlman is going to play defense here for the Colorado Summit.
Yeah, maybe switching some things up to make the defense have a little more teeth. We know Kuhlman likes to lay out and earn blocks.
First tie since we were knotted up at 2 early in the first quarter, and Leo Gordon has the disc for Oakland. Burns. Back to Magsig. Frankenberg steps into a backhand, looking for Gordon. That one's got too much on it, and a golden opportunity for Colorado in the early stages of the second half here.
You know, that might have just been a misthrow, but you can't discount the pressure that Kuhlman provides to the thrower. They look up, they see Kuhlman on him, they say, oh, this has got to be a perfect throw. Put a little too much on it.
Wonder how much leash Tim Kafalis and the coaching staff will give this D-line. Here's Goldstein. Do they opt to use an early timeout? Goldstein steps into the backhand hook, looking for May. May is legging it out. May rips it with one hand. Colorado has its first lead of the night. And it looks like Adam Reese is dealing with some injury there. Good to see him walking off under his own power, but obviously some calf discomfort as the teammates celebrate the break there.
Hunter May's a player I wasn't too familiar with until last week. I'm really impressed with a man that size, with all that speed.
How about the guts from Sam Goldstein to rip this shot?
Great D attempt by Reese. If I'm Reese, I'm a little frustrated with that ref because it looked like he wanted to push him out of the way, but Reese still almost got a hand on it. Those long arms of May, though, reached out.
I mean, we can't speculate from here. You hope that's nothing more than a cramp, but if that's a serious calf injury, that's trouble for this Oakland O-line, given he's a leading goal scorer in the league and he's been so involved in the attack so far tonight.
As a lifelong cramper, that looks like a cramp to me.
You gonna bring him some pickle juice? What was your solution when that happened?
Noon. I was a huge noon guy, but you have to start really early, like basically the morning of. Just start pounding noon.
All right, well, let me know when you got your brand deal signed with them.
All right, hope you're listening, Noon.
Oakland trying to stabilize after getting broken. Foul there on Lincoln Grench, who gets to walk the disc up 10 yards. And the Summit faithful coming to life and stomping and cheering here at Marv K for what feels like the first time tonight. Grench unleashes a deep ball. 2 receivers and 2 defenders there. Jay Frood goes up first, and Frood swats it. No foul call, and another break opportunity on a consecutive point for the Summit.
Frood got it on the way down, which is the sign of someone who can jump really high.
Nanda Min Fink on the counterattack, finds Marshall unmarked. Back to Min Fink. We mentioned it once earlier tonight, but it bears repeating. No Alex Atkins for the Summit, who's been a key part of this D-line through the first 4 games of the season. The team leader in overall scores, assists, blocks, and turnovers, as this deep shot is targeting Marshall, and it's just inches too far. A great look from Hopkins, but Marshall can't bring it in.
I want to attribute that to Marshall and Hawkins just not playing together that much, because that space was there and Marshall should have realized it was coming.
Grench with another deep shot. This one's floating and bending away from the receiver, and it's knocked to the ground by Sam Van Dusen. Min Fink looking for Frood, who had a block earlier in the point. Frood gets fouled, gets to march the disc up 10 yards. Min Fink. Ferris was there on the swing, but Marshall's the closer option. He gets fouled by Robinson. Free 10 yards for Marshall.
That foul should almost be on the thrower. Put them both in a precarious situation, but the defender did a good job of holding back, not preventing any injury.
Marshall fakes, draws another foul. That's 20 free yards he's been able to accumulate on this point. Around to Frood. Van Dusen was there for the swing, but Tim Kafala sensed the trouble coming with the stall count rising and used Colorado's first timeout of the second half. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Phil Long Dealerships. Phil Long Dealerships is a premier automotive dealer group based in Colorado Springs with a history spanning over 75 years. Known for its commitment to community, quality customer service, and exceptional value, proudly serving Colorado and New Mexico. Phil Long and the Colorado Summit are excited to offer $500 off your next vehicle purchase.
Saw the look on Van Dusen's face. He's the one who got the D down at the end of the field, and they had marched it all 95% of the way. He had the disc in his hands. He thought he was about to get the double happiness, but coach called in the offensive line. But hope it works out for him.
The life and times of a D-liner in the UFA.
There it is.
Kafalis trying to get himself caffeinated for the last quarter and a half as Brooks prepares to pick up on this beautiful night here in Golden. Elliott goes back across and finds Olsen. Colorado with its largest lead of the night, opening the second half with a hold and 2 breaks.
And that's the Summit at their best, in my opinion. They had an option wide to the left, and they took the option wide to the right. Not forcing things up the middle, not trying to be too fast, too cute, just pivoting out and abusing the mark.
Olsen and Elliott, who've been settling into that offensive handler set with Tobias Brooks, proving confident and capable after the timeout. So if you're keeping score, these teams are even on breaks. Oakland got 3 in the first quarter. Colorado got 1 in the second and then 2 here in the third. Oakland, of course, unable to convert a couple of end of quarter scenarios, and Colorado able to defend against them. Magsig Scoobers, he finds Reese. Good to see him back out there after appearing to have some kind of a calf cramp or injury earlier in the quarter, and he throws into a poach. There's a quick turnover, and Goldstein goes right to Coleman. 3 breaks and a 4-0 run for the Summit to start the second half.
That was some great defensive positioning by the Summit. They run a pretty complex set. It's a little bit of force middle. It's over my head, as I said. Defense is not my specialty, but you saw Slayton rotate just as the sag defender on the other handler was moving into that space. Slayton funneled the throw where the help was, and it worked out.
Well, if you want to learn more about Tim Kafalis' coaching philosophy, there's at least one pod practice episode that breaks down the AP all-person defense. So super fans, go find that on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and nerd out to your heart's content as Sam Van Dusen rips the massive lefty backhand pull. And Magsig and company have to find an answer. Gets it back in power position from Frankenberg. Frankenberg grinding up line. Working against a double team now. Hammers over it to Hawkins. I beg your pardon, to Magsig. Hawkins is on the mark. Magsig inside. Burns in the red zone. Frankenberg hops up. Back to Burns. He's not in. Burns marked by Hawkins. Resets to Magsig. Magsig offhand, backhand. The Colorado defenders appealing for a pick. The disc was caught by Frankenberg. And there's no pick call. And that goal by Frankenberg is going to stand and stop the bleeding for Oakland. Let's take another look here. Disc in the hands of Magsig. There's Burns at the front of the stack. Oh, and the feet of Ferris and Frood get tangled up. I mean,
I would think that's a pick. They were both within, Ferris was definitely within 10 feet of his defender when that tangle happened.
So Eric Hodeling talking with Jeannie Eckert and Jonathan Monforti.
You know, reffing is a hard job. There's a lot to look for. I think picks are one of the hardest things to see.
No doubt.
Because obviously the disc is the most important thing. Maybe the hot receiver is the next important, but the middle of the stack, that's a really hard thing to pay attention to.
No doubt about it, and we are so grateful for all of the work that officials around the league do to keep our games moving smoothly. Here's Brooks. Thorson. What a boon these Colorado Mama Bird stars have been to the Summit attack tonight. Thorson and Brooks on the O-line. Hawkins even had at least one O-point, and Min Fink has been a D-line anchor as well. Here's Feiner near midfield. Brooks The blade to the end zone. Nobody's around. Noah Kuhlman. 15-12 Colorado.
That was beautiful movement. Both sides of the field. Tobias didn't let anybody rest. I just love watching the man throw. He puts his whole body into it. His shoulders, from his shoulders or from his toes all the way to his fingertips. Everything is into it, so it always has snap, it always has velocity, and it always happens so fast. The defense can't really react.
So Kuhlman is going to get out there and pull double duty. Sorry, Bjorn.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say a lot of people throw a flick fast. Because he's so strong, he throws with his whole body. He throws his backhand as quick as many people throw flicks. So it makes it really easy to bounce around the field.
Kuhlman leading the Summit with 3 goals tonight, and back out there on this deep point already with 1 block to his credit. Here's Crawford. Finds Frankenberg. Burns is next under. Wildowski sevens his cut. Adam Reese near midfield, marked by May. Frankenberg pulls the trigger. This one's floating. Kuhlman and Jackson defending. Gordon, the intended receiver, and Kuhlman with his 2nd block of the game.
I believe there was a tip on the throw. I think I could hear it all the way up here. The defender got a hand on it.
Great pressure all around from the Summit, and Kuhlman had the disc knocked out of his hand with that fake, so he gets the disc back and 10 yards. Steps into the backhand. David Hughes looking for it. He finds it over his left shoulder. Clap catch, 2 yards outside the red zone. Leading May to space. He's there. That's the 4th break of the 3rd quarter for the Colorado Summit, who have hit another gear here in this 2nd half.
I don't think this Spiders offensive line is used to playing this much defense. They're actually starting to get a little tired.
Especially at elevation.
There you go. And going back to that throw, great look. Kuhlman saw that there was no help anywhere in sight. I don't think you saw it for 80% of the flight of that throw.
Yeah, you saw him. He was looking over his right shoulder, and then he checked back over his left.
I think the crowd let him know that it was coming, and he got excited and found it eventually. And he got a good look at the sunset while he finally turned around and saw it.
That's the 1st assist of the season for David Yu, the 29-year-old Wisconsin product, in his 2nd year on the Summit. So a lot of D-line personnel out there on this point for Oakland. They choose not to use a timeout and trust some of these youngsters like Garcia and McCall and Lankford to try and get Oakland back in this one, but Lankford can't handle that one.
I know one of the youngsters threw it, but I got to put that on the receiver. That was a fine throw.
Lankford, a UFA rookie as well. Here's Slayton on the counterattack. Lankford trying to get the poach block, but Min Fink secures possession. Min Fink up to Van Dusen. Marshall. And a whistle signaling Colorado's use of its 2nd and final timeout of the 2nd half. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Symmetry 360 Massage. Symmetry 360 Massage is a female-owned and operated therapeutic and sports massage studio with 4 locations in Denver, Golden, Boulder, and Wheat Ridge.
I hope Adam Reese has time to get over there and get that calf worked out.
Holy smokes, he's going to need it if his team is going to mount a comeback here. It's really been a tale of 2 halves so far. Oakland, the phenomenal performance in the 1st quarter, still maintaining an edge going into halftime, but something happened in the halftime huddle in the locker room because Colorado has come out with a different level of intensity, precision, and execution here in the 2nd half.
The two things I can point to without going back and watching film is moving Kuhlman over, who's just such a good defender, it ripples through the whole line.
Sure.
And then two, it just seems like the receiver defenders from the Summit understand where the Spiders want to go a little more. You're not seeing any wide open, 10 yards open guys catching stand-up hucks. So it's probably a little more intensity on the mark, too.
Brooks, one throw to Feiner. He's 5 yards outside the end zone. Elliott back to Brooks. Interesting to see Brooks go into the end zone to Feiner. Interesting to see Caleb Merriam elect to keep that D-line out there after the timeout and not substitute the personnel, get any fresh legs. I know it was a quick turnover, but great to see Quinn Feiner and the boys celebrating once again. That is the 5th break of the third quarter for this Summit squad.
Yeah, it looks like because that was a very defensive heavy O-line to begin with.
Yeah.
They just stayed out there, and that way this O-line that just walked on for the Spiders is the main O-line and is completely fresh. I think he kind of threw the white flag there.
What a line from Quinn Feiner so far tonight. 4 assists and 3 goals so far. Leading all throwers in the assist category as we approach the end of the third quarter. Magsig working with Frankenberg. Looks like a pretty intentional dominator set to get things started here for the Spiders. Frankenberg back to Magsig. Gordon chased by Kuhlman. Unbelievable to see him so close to a block on the break side, and the shot to the end zone gets macked. It's knocked away at first by May, but caught on the second attempt, and the official, Jeannie Eckert, rules the Spiders receiver inbounds.
I believe that was the correct call, but I can't believe he did it. He managed to keep a crazy lunge position as he kept his back foot down and his right leg up. Absolutely ridiculous.
So there's Kuhlman close to that block, and Magsig floats it, kind of like Lawrence did earlier. May gets a hand on it, and is that Wildovsky?
Yes.
Yeah, Wildovsky has that. Does he have that right toe down? Can we go back a frame or two? I don't know. Awfully close.
Awfully close.
Boy, that looked like a carbon copy of that first quarter turnover from I beg your pardon, that was Kuhlman trying to connect with Feiner, not Lawrence.
Correct.
In the first quarter.
Yeah, same exact spot.
So, I believe we had an offside call on the pull. So, 1:09 left to go here in the third quarter.
I'm going to sit on a fan shot with that.
Brooks
In a minute.
bringing the disc up into play. 20 yards from his end zone line. Brooks marked by Robinson.
The referees debating or talking about where to put it. It goes to half field, actually.
If it's an offside, the disc does go to midfield, so Brooks gets that extra yardage.
The UFA really tries to discourage the offsides, so the 20 yards wouldn't be enough of a penalty.
Olsen finds Thorson. Right back to Olsen. Simple game of catch for the fellas. And the referees had added some time back to the clock before that point started. So we now have 1:12 left to go here in the third quarter.
That's a little too easy from the Spiders. That's a really easy part of the field to provide help for. You should be able to flash a guy over, the closest defender over, and discourage that up the line for that big of a gain. You should only ever be getting 10 to 15 yards on an up the liner like that. You should not be able to just juice it up the field so easily. Someone should be, especially with the end zone there, you know that's where a lot of guys are. Someone should be able to help and stop that from being so easy.
Van Dusen pulling for Colorado. Frankenberg the first under. Another big gainer for Magsig. It looks like those three are just always able to get things started easily for this Spiders offense. Gordon offhand to Frankenberg. Back to Gordon. And Gordon wanted a foul on Frood. He got the call. Frood was initially acknowledging right away that he did foul him.
And that was a lefty high release from Gordon, showing his bag.
That's the kind of throw that the defensive game plan was trying to eliminate. And into the end zone for Reese. Goal number 4 for the Oregon product. Brings the Spiders back within 4. Oh, wait. We had a travel call, and the disc is going to go back to Magsig, and he will lose 10 yards. Magsig connects with Reese again.
High marshaled there, but he wasn't able to leave his feet. It was too quick a throw, and Reese was able to put his body in front of him. That point to me was all about those handlers. Even though the Summit have had the same players on the same handlers, and you can see that the handler defenders are figuring out, knowing where they want to go, it's still so hard to stop. They're so good at what they do. Even Slayton is on Magsig the whole time. He knows where he's going. He knows where his next step is. But as a defender, the offense has the advantage, and it's just so hard to stop them from doing what they want to do.
Reese leading everyone with 4 goals tonight with a quarter and 38 seconds left to play. Can Colorado add to its lead before the final frame starts? Tobias Brooks hopes so, but he's hucking into what is now turning into triple coverage. And there's a foul call. Seamus Robinson and his teammates don't love it one bit. And Feiner in a good bit of discomfort.
Somewhere on that pile, under that pile of Spiders, there's a Quinn Feiner.
So you see the deep shot going, it's hanging, a couple bodies come in, and Feiner loses his footing.
Yeah, I think that was well played by 28, but 25 Robinson kind of came right into his back and was looking too much up and didn't slow down at all, whereas 28 was more careful and kind of did a classic box out. 25 just kind of mowed him over.
So Feiner in the red zone now, resetting to Olsen. He's faking. Finds Elliott with now 15 seconds left to go in the quarter. The throw to space, and Robinson gets a block. Can Oakland convert? They immediately use a timeout. And they're hoping to do something with this break chance. 9 seconds remaining on the third quarter clock. So after Robinson, a part of the group that fouled Feiner earlier in the point, he's able to get the block in the red zone for the Spiders.
2 things. One, I don't know why the Summit thrower threw that as if it needed to get in the end zone.
Yeah.
He had 10 seconds, but he threw it as if they needed to milk it. Just throw it right to his chest. You'll get it on the next throw. Maybe the throw after that. You had plenty of time. And 2, a couple points ago, I was lamenting how the Spiders were not providing any help up the line. There, Robinson learned that lesson and had his eyes on that up the line space and was there for the help that should have been there 2 points ago.
Summit fans getting hyped for the final frame, the final stanza of the third quarter here. Fans from all over the state, even down south in Pueblo, as we resume action here. 7, 6, 5 seconds now. Gordon with the hammer, looking to the far corner. Marshall defending, and Marshall swats it away! Kai Marshall to the rescue for Colorado at the end of the third quarter.
Kai's got to be relieved he didn't have to chase after one for once and just got to stand and use his big, beautiful body to go straight up and swat it down.
So Oakland had an 11-10 lead at halftime, but the Summit go on an 8-3 rampage in the third quarter. They lead 18-14 with the final frame on the other side of the break. Colorado with an 18-14 lead on the division-leading Oakland Spiders. What a night in the UFA. Our Friday night Frisbee action has concluded. The Atlanta Hustle are no longer undefeated as the defending champion Minnesota Wind Chill have won on home turf 17-15. DC has beaten Toronto in Toronto 21-20. Madison has beaten Indy 22-11. And if you've got that second screen, monitor, device, fire up another watchufa.tv browser app, what have you, and tune in to Salt Lake versus Seattle. The Shred with a 9-5 lead on the road right now. Fourth quarter getting started here in Golden, and Leo Gordon and the Spiders have a lot of work to do to get back in this one. And there's an errant throw disrupting the Dominator movement that has worked so well for this Oakland attack all night long. Zach Slayton picks up, resets to Matt Jackson. Here's you. Looking to the end zone. That's his second assist of the night and his second assist of the season. Colorado starting the fourth quarter with a break.
And, you know, those Spider handlers are just so good, but all you can hope for as a defender is to make everything 5% harder. If you make everything 5% harder, eventually you'll get a turn. And that's all you can hope for. And you can see they're just a little bit tighter. Leo Gordon's having to run a little bit faster to catch these throws, and just having to pivot out further, you open the door for an error to happen.
I really like the comment you made last quarter about noticing some of the personnel switches, putting Kuhlman a little more primarily on D to be able to go step for step with a Gordon or a Magsig and frustrate them in that space. It's really made a huge difference for Colorado.
And yeah, this is their only matchup of the season. And you learn a lot by playing someone, right? You learn who you want to have on which player. So they kind of, you know, let's look at the first half as them learning who they wanted to have on what player.
Here's a deep shot pretty quickly. Nobody is covering Aaron Rosenthal. He's able to walk onto that one. Reset there. Garcia fouled by Frood. Garcia marked by Frood. Reset there to Grench. They play catch. Swing out to Robinson, looking to space. Robinson's got it, goes back inside. Connects with Rosenthal. And looked like a little bit of a defensive breakdown at the beginning of that point.
Yeah, someone failed counting to 7 in third grade because it looked like an extra person ran down to the same handler on the mark. We'd have to watch the film to see who it was, but a wide open player streaking. And credit to that Spider receiver realizing that they were uncovered and doing the right thing and bolting to the end zone, and credit to the thrower for managing to get off a catchable throw.
Well, the really challenging thing about that is Colorado had started the fourth quarter with a break, and Caleb Merriam had elected to send that D-line heavy group out there. And to bust the coverage and give that grouping an easy score is just, you don't ever want to do that, but it just stings a little more when you do it against a group like that.
To go into a basketball analogy, that's like losing the non-Jokic minutes.
Exactly. Colorado starting from its back line. Brooks gets it up to Lawrence. Hawkins back to Brooks. Bluffs the deep shot, and there's an easy gainer for Thoresen. Brooks over to Lawrence. Takes the easier option once again to Thoresen. He's been chunking up yardage all night long. Finer back to Brooks. Nice job changing the angle of attack to Lawrence. Thoresen covered underneath there, going around. Can Hawkins adjust? He can. What a fit he's been on the O-line here in the second half. Hammer from Olsen, intercepted. And the Spiders have a break opportunity here in the fourth quarter. And Caleb Merriam elects to use his final timeout of the game after that D-line struggled to get things started after the turn.
Be honest, I hate that hammer throw. Not just personally, I know that I can't do it. The 15 yards, just like a football throw straight ahead, I never do it. I would always throw a blade or maybe even a scuba.
Yeah.
For some reason, that hammer to me is so hard to find the right depth and height. And you could see there, he obviously didn't find the right height. Even though that was going to hit him in the chest, it went straight to the defender first.
Yeah, not sure if he lost sight of the defender, Morgan Summer, behind his mark, or another defender in his line of sight. Don't forget about the UFA's Can't Miss Games presented by Pabst Light. Tomorrow night, Atlanta is on the road against Chicago. How will they respond after their first loss of the season in Minnesota? Friday night Frisbee, next Friday, a classic, the Breeze versus the Empire. And plenty of great action next weekend as well on watchufa.tv. Here's a deep shot. Caught by Frankenberg on the doorstep. Reset there to Leo Gordon. And back to Frankenberg, who stays inbounds. And there's the first break of the fourth quarter. The first break of the second half for Oakland. And you hear the Spiders sidelines trying to spark some life and energy into that group.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about that. I think they really liked that Frankenberg on Hodling matchup. They never looked even dumped once from that cone, and you would think that would be the play, but I think it must have been the way the Summit were playing. They came out of that, came to that cone out of that timeout and said, if they're not helping, I am hucking this to you no matter what, because they never looked off the sideline, which is 99% of the time what you want to do.
So Oakland back within 3. Their undefeated record on the line as we see the first roller pull we've seen tonight. That one thrown by Aiden Curry. How will Connor Olsen and company handle this one? The negative reset and the swing to Brooks and the continuation to Lawrence and another one to Thoresen. Colorado's offense is just playing Plinko out there. And Thoresen goes after giving it. That was some of the best offense we've seen all season long from Colorado.
Yeah, that looked pretty great. It's a beautiful backhand. And the help from the Spiders, I think they wanted to provide help for that, but it was just a little too late, and Thoresen did a great job of knowing where that help was coming from and how much time he had.
Look at that. Hawkins knowing it was good before Thoresen was even close to catching it, walking off with his hand in the air, and what a treat for the Summit fans
You know, I had some friends texting me before the game, hey, is this game still happening tonight? Is it raining out there? You know, we were letting everyone know this game was happening, and everyone who came out tonight is being rewarded with not only a beautiful evening, but one heck of a performance from this Summit squad.
Absolutely. Never trust what you see out your door in Denver. Just drive across town to the mountains and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, give it 30 minutes, it'll blow over.
Yeah.
Foul there gives Magsig 10 yards. Van Dusen on the mark. Min Fink marking Gordon. He didn't even see that throw go up. He was face guarding there. Adjustment there by Frankenberg to make the catch. Gordon with, I beg your pardon, that's Burns inside. Another goal for Adam Reese.
That was also another beautiful backhand. I think the Spiders saw what the Summit just did and said, we can do that as well. They did more of an angle cuts all the way across the field, though. They got to the high side and just 3 of the same cut towards the end zone, and the Marks never fully got around to stop it. So beautiful throw and great offense, keeping players out of the way so that the last cutter always had space to operate.
Second assist of the night for Burns, and 5th goal of the night for Reese. And another roller pull, trying to pin Colorado on the sideline. They made light work of that defensive scheme on the last point. Olsen with the hammer. Awfully close to a turnover, but Langford couldn't get there, and Brooks is giving and going. Steps into a deep shot. He's got a receiver, and what a grab! Connor Olsen goes shoulder high for the Colorado score.
That was that cut developed from 55 yards away, not long after he threw the hammer.
That's our play of the game, powered by Atlas Solar Solutions, pioneers in the world of solar and renewable energy, leading the charge toward a cleaner, greener future. Join us in shaping a world fueled by clean energy and free from dependence on fossil fuels.
That play was incredible. That catch was incredible. He was running out of time, and I think one more step, and he probably would have landed out of bounds first, so perfectly timed.
Connor Olsen now with two assists and 3 goals tonight. And we look back at his Colorado Summit career. He has never had 5 scores in a game in a Summit uniform, so big milestone for him tonight. Here's Magsig, changing the shape of the field and what's possible with it. Outside in backhand hug, a beautiful shot over the arms of the defender, Matt Jackson, and Burns gets there for the goal.
Matt Jackson read that well, almost got up there, and one great layout for another. It's pretty great offense. That all went back to Magsig, though, kind of getting the first step on Slayton for about 3 throws in a row, each time getting a little more advantage till that last one, he fully got a break, you know? He beat him with his feet 2 times, and then because he was getting beat with his feet, Slayton ended up going too far, overplaying it, getting broken with the big backhand.
3-goal game. 6 minutes and change left. Neither team has any timeouts. What does Oakland do to narrow this gap?
I think they just keep putting out high school kids.
Okay, all right. Well, I see Garcia and McCall up there guarding handlers, so there's a start. Here's Elliott. Looking for Lawrence, who hits the deck to grab that one. Big negative reset. Feiner. Back to Brooks. You know, Colorado content to just play catch in the handler set. I don't know if they can pull a Ben Snell and Carolina Flyers and completely run out the clock here, but they're doing a great job, a keep away so far on this point. Here's Brooks, thought about the hammer, opted for the backhand swing. Olsen. Brooks finds Thoresen. Hawkins makes the catch in traffic. Robinson peeled off Feiner, and now there's a flood of switches from the Spiders defenders.
Clearly Robinson is the best guy for coming through with help.
Lawrence with a bailout hammer looking for Hawkins. Oh, he had his fingers on it and he dropped it.
Was that at stall 7? That seemed very quick to be stall 7.
I couldn't hear the officials count from up here, but I'm with you. The stall count was rising, but I don't know quite how high it was. Lawrence on the mark. Robinson, heavy contact there from Thoresen, and that's an unsportsmanlike. Carlo DePena, the sideline official, and Hank Carey, the head referee, having a conversation.
How many yards is that, Ian?
So
I think it's about 25, or that looks about 15 actually.
yeah,
Luckily, Robinson's a strong fella. He looks fine. I wonder how long until they take the timeout and put the O-line out there. You said they have no timeouts.
Thoresen was the fouler there, and here's the throw from Grench. He immediately puts his hands up thinking he'd made a horrible decision, but Rosenthal is there for the score. What an unbelievable sequence. The crossfield hammer from Robinson landing in an impossibly small space, and then Rosenthal adjusting perfectly to Grench's flubbed mid-range throw to the end zone.
Yeah, that definitely didn't go where he wanted it to go, but it worked out because the defender ran where it should have gone, and the receiver got to read it early and go where it did go.
So Oakland's second break of the fourth quarter, second break of the second half, brings the Spiders back within 2, and we are just starting to see some raindrops come down here in Golden on what has been an otherwise beautiful evening on the edge of the Rocky Mountains. Brooks centers to Elliott. Offhand Scuber. That's Kuhlman out there for this important point. Feiner. Lawrence. Brooks. Olsen. Langford pulls out of the bid, avoiding contact. Olsen. A little casual there. The push pass to Brooks. Elliott stepping through, finding Thoresen, already with one unsportsmanlike. Brooks trying to send Kuhlman. Will this one hang long enough? Kuhlman is there! One Oregon alum beats another to the house, and Colorado regains its 3-goal lead with 3 minutes and 4 seconds remaining in regulation.
Just a great run out, and Reese showing his defensive chops to go along with his offensive ability, closing the distance, but Kuhlman's never going to let anyone beat him to the disc if he has a step. I was just thinking as that point was going, why the offense looked so much worse than they did in the third. The third quarter, the Summit were really stretching the field. Now it seems like they're doing that thing where they're playing different now that they have the lead. instead of just being themselves and allowing the lead to blossom and grow, they're playing a little more stagnant, very few deep cutters going past 25 yards away, and then all of a sudden they become easy to guard.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a natural tendency. You see it in every sport. You play different when you get the lead, and they just need to do what, with a timed game, just go for the throat and put the metal down, as far as I'm concerned.
Van Dusen throws the pull intentionally out of bounds. A massive double team here with Hawkins and Marshall on the mark. Unbelievable hammer there from Magsig all the way across the field to Wildowski. Frankenberg up to Reese now, who's staying out there after sprinting and chasing Kuhlman in the deep space after that last point. And a call forces Magsig to lose 10 yards. Minfink on the mark. Reese milking it. Goal number 6 for the Oregon product, bringing the Spiders back within 2 once again.
And Kai Marshall is a great defender, but he's gonna have visions of Adam Reese in his brain the next week. He's been having quite the day out there, even with Marshall on hot pursuit.
The drizzle starting to intensify. Gotta wonder if that will impact any throws or catches in the final 2 minutes and 10 seconds of regulation play.
If you saw the last game here with the Summit, there were drops aplenty when it was raining, but it was also significantly colder that day. I think it's warm enough today in the mid-70s that the hands should still be very, very active.
Deep shot going up right away. Lankford, the defender, has the best read on it, and he comes down with the block. Not sure why Colorado did that. And it's a drop from Oakland after the gift of a turnover. The Spiders hand a present right back to the Summit. Here's Brooks in the red zone. Hammer over everyone. Lawrence all alone in the back corner. That feels like the dagger in the Spiders' heart with 1:31 left on the game clock.
I spoke too soon about the disc slipping through people's fingers, because that looked exactly like that, what that was.
You feel for Summer. It was almost like he was going down to the ground to secure the possession, but he almost looked upfield first before it came all the way in to his chest. And Brooks to Lawrence, a sure thing. As Lawrence is firing up the crowd here.
That's one of my favorite things about Lawrence that I saw from the game last week. He is an emphatic, emotive person. He gets the crowd fired up. Fan favorite everywhere he goes.
Summit faithful, brave in the drizzle. Double team to start on defense. Another hammer to get out of it. You know, context for Summit fans, before this season, roller pulls, double teams, those weren't tactics that the Colorado Summit used. They've really leaned into those strategic adjustments earlier here, as we saw some contact earlier in the point. And it looked like a foul call based on something downfield, so Burns walks back 10 yards. Oakland down by 3, wants to score as quickly as possible. Diving grab made by Frankenberg. Gordon. Over to Burns, back to Frankenberg, I beg your pardon, Gordon in a small space, and there's the finish to Magsig. Gosh, that handler set has just been unstoppable at times tonight.
Yeah, you saw they even read where they wanted to go. They looked like they had Gordon beat to the spot. They still threw it, and Gordon fearlessly caught it in the face of a defender, and then had a wide open receiver to throw it to. Okay. Nothing but impressed with Leo Gordon.
Colorado up by 2 with 45 seconds remaining. 7 assists on the night for Evan Magsig. And that last instance there, his first goal of the evening. So Oakland trying to figure out what it can do, get back within this one. And I'm not sure if an offsides call or some other foul or infraction was called against the Summit. Oakland gets to march the disc forward.
Yeah, they're pulling 10 yards further up than normal. So there must have been some infraction. Probably maybe after the score, unsportsmanlike perhaps.
Roller pull from Robinson goes out the sideline. No double team. Brooks in power position. Finer's taken off. Coolman and Brooks playing catch. 40 seconds left on the clock. Lawrence is next. Coolman in power position. He's sending Brooks in a sea of defenders, and it doesn't matter. Brooks breasts them all. Robinson can't believe he got called for a foul there, and Brooks is on the goal line. Steps around to Finer. That's gonna do it for the Colorado Summit, up by 3 with 22 seconds remaining.
That was Tobias Brooks showing what he can do in the air. One of the best players in the world in the air at the moment. And 3 bodies around him. I'm not sure that should have been a foul. I think he should have just, but I think he was going to get up and throw that score no matter what. And happy to see Tobias Brooks ejecting. I think that's when this team is at their best. When he goes downfield to put pressure on a handler defender who probably doesn't want to be down there with him. And his speed just opens things up for this team.
So Colorado, who looked lost and confused and impotent after an 0-2 weekend in Texas, have rebounded with a decisive victory over Oregon, and they've given the division-leading Oakland Spiders what is about to be their first loss of the 2025 campaign after Oakland defeated the New York Empire in the opening game of the season, and also defeated the defending West Division champion Seattle Cascades 3 times already. And you can see what this means to Seth Ferris, Tobias Brooks, and the Summit faithful.
And insult to injury, they don't even get a throw off on right on the doorstep for a sure score. Just showing the ratcheting up of the intensity of the Summit team, playing to the final whistle, not letting anything up, doing it for the crowd there, showing the grit in this comeback.
Well, unbelievable performances from Colorado stars. Quinn Finer, 4 assists, 4 goals, nearly 450 total yards and no turnovers. We'll get to other stats from Thoresen, Brooks, and others in a second, but take a look, Bjorn, at this stat line and these final stats. It's really a different looking stat board compared to what we were looking at halftime.
Yeah, it's like all the errors of the Summit O held constant, and they just piled on the conversions. So the O played cleaner, and the defense with the addition of Coolman just turned into a breaking machine.
We were talking about the additions of Colorado Mama Bird stars. Zeke Thoresen leading everyone with 363 yards, 3 assists, 3 goals, and we are lucky to be joined now by Tobias Brooks, 6 assists and 2 goals. Toby, how you feeling after your first game in a Colorado Summit uniform?
Feeling good, you know. I mean, first game back, and I was super pissed about college nationals, so it was just good to get out and play. I was all fired up, and you know, great team. I I'm just feeling good, dude. I just feel good. We were clicking.
What was the key to slotting in well with this O-line? It looked like the group was kind of struggling in the first quarter, the first half, but it looked like this group really came out with a renewed attack in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, all our turnovers at the start of the game were just us shooting ourselves. You know, we didn't have much pressure. We didn't feel much pressure defensively from them, and we just had to understand that we just got to play our game, play calm, and we'll be fine. We're too talented to turn it like that.
Hey, Toby, this is Bjorn. How do you feel having your fellow teammates from Mama Bird right there with you on the O-line?
That helped a lot. We just had to find our other guys, but we got we all got legs. I mean, it's easy to play with them. It's super easy.
Toby, we appreciate you joining us. Just one last question. What does a win like tonight do for the rest of this group as you look forward for the rest of the season?
It just shows us we can win through adversity. We can get down and trust our defense, trust our offense. Just reinforces the trust that we're trying to build, and I don't know. It just shows us that we can do it this season. It's just easy.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see more
Sorry,
of that.
I cursed.
No,
Sorry.
you're all good, man. Appreciate your time. Go get back over there and celebrate with the boys.
Oh yeah, baby. Thank you.
Tobias Brooks and the Colorado Summit victorious tonight, a 24-21 upset of the division-leading Oakland Spiders. Bjorn Shea, your final thoughts as we look back on an epic night in Golden.
All the keys to the game came to fruition. I think that was just a great game for Colorado. I think that's going to be a turning point in the season. You know, this part of the UFA season, all the college kids are home. These are the teams. These are the real teams coming to blossom. And this is going to be a really exciting sprint to the finish to see where this West ends up.
What an unbelievable addition this Colorado Mama Bird group was to the Summit tonight. Toby Brooks, Zeke Thorson, Elliot Hawkins, and Nanda Min Fink getting the disc back for Colorado, attacking for the Summit. And Colorado reaches a new gear that we haven't seen from the Summit here in 2025. Where else will they go? Make sure you stay with us here on WatchUFA.tv all season long. Colorado's next matchup, June 20th, a home game against the Vegas Bighorns. On behalf of Bjorn Shea and our entire crew, I'm Ian Toner. Thank you so much for joining us here on WatchUFA.tv.
I need dogs. Understood. Yes, sir. This is the first chance we've had of this kind of pressure in a long time. We wanted these rests. We wanted this challenge. Okay, it is hard. But we are here to do hard things. That is why we play these games. That's why we play at this level. We are dogs and we are winners, and we are good at doing hard things. So when we step out of this locker room, it is looking forward, and then it's looking physical, and then it's looking fast. Understood? Let's do it. Let's get to it.